A man sat alone on a weathered bench. The park bustled around him, children playing, couples strolling, birds chirping. But the man remained still, his gaze fixed on the ground. He seemed lost in thought, oblivious to the world around him. His face, etched with the lines of time, held a somber expression. It was a face that spoke of lessons learned, some joyful, others etched in regret. He clutched a worn leather notebook in his hand, its pages filled with faded ink. Every now and then, a faint sigh would escape his lips, as if he were rereading memories that brought both pain and longing. A young woman, her eyes sparkling with youthful curiosity, approached the man. She had noticed him from a distance, sitting alone on the bench, lost in his thoughts. There was something about his demeanor that drew her in, a quiet intensity that piqued her interest. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should intrude on his solitude. Gathering her courage, she finally decided to sit down on the opposite end of the bench, giving him space yet making her presence known. "Excuse me," she began, her voice soft, yet clear. "I couldn't help but notice you seem troubled. Is there anything I can do?" Her concern was genuine, and she hoped he would open up to her. The man looked up, startled by her approach. He studied her for a moment, his gaze lingering on her youthful face, a stark contrast to his own weathered features. There was a kindness in her eyes that he hadn't seen in a long time. "Troubled? No, not at all," he replied, his voice a low rumble. "Just reflecting." His tone was serious, yet there was a hint of warmth that suggested he appreciated her concern. "On what?" The young woman persisted, her curiosity piqued. "May I ask?" She leaned in slightly, eager to hear his story, to understand what weighed on his mind. The man hesitated, then a faint smile touched the corners of his lips. "On life," he said simply. "On the lessons it teaches." He paused, as if considering how much to share. "Life has a way of teaching us in the most unexpected ways," he continued, his voice thoughtful. "Sometimes it's the quiet moments like these that offer the greatest insights." He tapped the worn notebook in his hands, the pages yellowed with age and filled with scribbles of a lifetime's worth of thoughts. "I've been writing down the things I wish I'd known sooner, the truths that only became clear with time. Each word is a lesson learned, a piece of wisdom gained through years of experience." The young woman leaned forward, her interest deepening. "Like what?" she asked, her eyes wide with anticipation, eager to absorb the knowledge he had to offer. "Like the fact that time is our most precious commodity," he said, his voice filled with a hint of melancholy. "It's something we often take for granted, not realizing its true value until it's almost gone. We waste it so easily, thinking we have an endless supply. But it slips through our fingers like grains of sand," he continued, his tone growing more somber. "Every moment lost is a moment we can never get back." He looked at the young woman, his gaze intense. "Don't wait to pursue your dreams, child. Don't let fear hold you back. Time waits for no one. Every second counts, and every decision you make shapes your future. Seize the day and make the most of every opportunity that comes your way." He opened the notebook and pointed to a page filled with scribbled lines. "This," he said, "is about control. We spend our lives trying to control everything and everyone around us. But the truth is, we control very little. Life is unpredictable," he continued, his voice taking on a philosophical tone. "It throws curveballs when we least expect it. The key is to learn to adapt, to go with the flow. The things that truly matter, love, happiness, inner peace, those are not things we can control. They are gifts, freely given and freely taken away." The man pointed to another entry in his notebook. This one is about relationships, he said, his voice softening. We crave connection, yet we push people away. We build walls around our hearts, afraid of getting hurt. He paused thoughtfully before continuing. But vulnerability is not weakness. His eyes filled with a lifetime of understanding. It's courage. It's the willingness to open ourselves up to love, even if it means risking pain. He looked earnestly at his listener. Don't let pride or fear keep you from experiencing the joy of true intimacy. Life is too short for regrets. The man turned to a fresh page, his finger tracing a line of faded ink. This is about success, he said. We chase it relentlessly, believing it will bring us happiness. But true happiness comes from within, not from external validation. Success is fleeting, he continued, his voice filled with a quiet wisdom. It can be here today and gone tomorrow. Don't define yourself by your accomplishments, but by the content of your character. Live a life of purpose, of kindness, of integrity. That's what truly matters in the end. He closed the notebook and looked at the young woman, his eyes twinkling. And this, he said, is perhaps the most important lesson of all, self-acceptance. We are so quick to judge ourselves, to focus on our flaws and imperfections. But we are all works in progress, constantly evolving and growing. Embrace your imperfections, he urged. They are what make you unique, what make you human. Be kind to yourself. You are worthy of love and acceptance just as you are. The young woman sat in silence, absorbing the man's words. They resonated deeply within her, sparking a newfound awareness within her soul. Thank you, she whispered, her voice filled with gratitude. These are lessons I will carry with me always. The man smiled, a genuine smile that lit up his entire face. Remember, child, he said, his voice warm and reassuring. The past is gone, the future is uncertain. All we truly have is this present moment. Live it fully. Embrace it with open arms. The man rose from the bench, his movements slow but steady. Each step he took was deliberate, a testament to the years he had lived and the wisdom he had gained. He handed the young woman his worn notebook. Here, he said, his voice carrying the weight of countless stories and experiences. These lessons are my gift to you, he continued, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of memories. May they guide you on your journey, he added, hoping that his hard-earned wisdom would light her path. And with a final nod, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the bustling crowd. His figure slowly faded, but the impact of his words lingered. The young woman sat there for a long moment, clutching the notebook to her chest. She felt the weight of the man's legacy in her hands. The man's words echoed in her mind, a roadmap for a life well lived. She could almost hear his voice guiding her through the pages. She looked down at the worn pages, her heart filled with a strange mix of sadness and hope. Each page was a testament to the man's journey, filled with lessons learned and wisdom gained. Sadness for the man and the weight of his experiences, yet hope for the wisdom he had shared. She felt a deep connection to him, as if his life was now intertwined with hers. She knew with a certainty that went beyond her years that his lessons, learned too late for him, would shape her own life in profound ways. She vowed to honor his legacy by living a life guided by the wisdom he had so generously shared.